Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another edition of the Daily Dose, your daily dose of positivity and productivity. I will tell you, today will blow your mind. Have you ever wanted to do 55 transactions in 1 month during a quarantine time? You maybe have never even thought about doing anything like that, but maybe if you can do 55 during quarantine, who knows what you can do when you're out of quarantine, right? And here's the thing. Have you ever wished that you had more consistent engagement with your clients, with the people that you know? And here's the thing that I have for everyone. What role does empathy have in your business right now? And I will tell you, that's the question of the day. Like empathy, your empathy score is dependent. It's like that tells you how well you're going to do through the quarantine times. And then here's the other thing is, like, how are you fostering your online community? You have an offline community, you have an offline family, you have an offline, all these things, but how are you fostering your online community? All those questions and more are going to be answered today with our very special guest. I do have some announcements. Friday, we have our high school senior class special edition. It's the senior graduation special. Listen, my team and I have been working 24/7, and I will tell you, you will be blown away by the Friday edition. You're going to want to come on no matter who you are, where you're from, whether you have a senior in that class or not. You may even hear from Oprah and Tony Robbins on the same broadcast. Are you kidding? Crazy. And I will tell you that this is like my funnest week ever. So yesterday we had Go-Go. Wasn't she fun? Like, she was so fun. She was so good. She's like the social media queen, and you could tell why. And today we've got Brandon Tracy. Tomorrow we have Johnny and Toral White, who have basically been the poster children for 7L for a long time. We have Tara Carter on Thursday on the Sunday Night Ritual and the Nightly Ritual. And then Friday, we have the graduation special. Like, does it get any better than that? I have no idea. Now, this is your reminder that you need to either start your Facebook group. If you're brand new to us, welcome to the Generosity Generation. We really established 2 action items. Yes, I say these every time. Some of you have heard this 97 times, and you still need to hear it. 2 action items: create and lead your Facebook group. So create your Facebook group, lead it. And here's the other thing, is the 5-star, right? Your 5 steps to attracting referrals, which the 5-star or the 5 steps are: you're going to identify a positive person. You are going to have a call with them or a Zoom or any type of FaceTime, whatever you want to do. You're going to ask them the VIP form questions, just 1, maybe 2. But I will tell you that if you start asking 1 or 2, you end up doing what I do and you end up getting like 7 or 8. It's like you're on a roll. Why not keep asking the question? And they love answering these questions. You know why? Because it's about them. You know, nobody will ever hang up on you when they're talking about themselves. Remember that, right? So then you're going to write a handwritten note as a follow-up, and then you're going to invite them to your Facebook group, either through a text or an email or on Facebook. And that's it. That's all you have to do. 5 a day keeps the bankruptcy away. 5 a day keeps the doctor away. 5 a day keeps you in the pay. 5 a day makes everything stay. 5 a day makes you hay. And you got to make hay while the hay is making, or something like that. So this is my reminder for all of you that have actually followed my advice for the last 60, 90, whatever. What is it, like April 98th today? So for those of you that have followed the advice, now is the time to start your watch party. So you go to share, which is right below this video. You click on it. It goes, how would you like to share it? Start watch party. Click on it. It fills in generosity generation by default. I don't know why it does that. It should fill out blank by default, but don't hit share in here because we're already doing a watch party. It's right now. Don't miss the party because you're at it. Here's the thing. You're going to start your watch party in your group. And I don't care if somebody's 11 or 111, they can watch this. Brandon doesn't cuss. I don't cuss. This message is for everyone. So you can share it to consumers, to even real estate agents might be able to get something out of today. I'm just saying. So start your watch party now. I have to tell you, this guy's an honor and a privilege to have on. And I will tell you that Brandon is a fiercely passionate businessman. And he's also the owner of BTG, Brandon Tracy Group, Real Estate, and the Authentic Agent LLC. Brandon has created a platform to inspire positive change while influencing the standard of professionalism within our industries. He strives to cultivate an atmosphere of achievement and success while inspiring agents to be the best version of their professional selves. And what happens a lot when they present the best version of their professional selves, it becomes the best version of their personal selves. So without further ado, let's bring on my good buddy and one of the top leaders in the country in the real estate industry, Brandon Tracy. Welcome, brother.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. I love my Gen family. So I was going back and forth with Johnny and Toril earlier and Arnell online, and just looking forward to it today. A little positivity, a little productivity. Let's get into it.
Listen, isn't that everything? Like, just if every day we just had a little daily dose of positivity and productivity, just a dose, right? And if we could take a magic pill of positivity and productivity, what would it look like? Well, it would actually not be a pill. It would actually be like a person. It would be a thing. It would be this, right? It would be, so it's like, and you're the perfect guy for this because you lead with positivity and productivity as your two leading values, your two leading components. And, you know, you're, as far as CRT, certified referral trainers go, you are establishing this whole niche of authentic agent. And I will tell you, it's like authenticity is the difference maker in today's world, but they're like, that's not how it's been taught in this business, Brandon. Forever it was be like me, right? Be like me, be like the instructor, be like whoever it is, and do what they say exactly, do what they, you know, and then you come to find out, freaking A, they're not even doing what they say they're saying.
Yeah, stage
and it's just like, yeah, and so authenticity is the way to do it. So I mean, you think that engagement is a big part of authenticity. So we're going to cut right to the chase, you know, why is consistent engagement so important, maybe for everybody, but especially like for real estate agents? And tell me, like, is that question coming from the aspect of you as a leader over agents, or is this just consistent engagement in general?
I think it's both. You know, I'll back us up a little bit. And the whole idea that, you know, we leaned into this quarantine on March 13th really quick and knew that we had to make some serious adjustments. As a matter of fact, I think the first morning I got on the phone with you and said, hey, let's get on this week. And that first week was really about establishing, okay, what's happening and how are people going to respond to this? How are they going to react to the stress of this, the anxiety of this massive change that we're about to face? And what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that everybody on our team and everybody that interacts with us really understands that when change comes, we go through what's called separation anxiety. It might be separation from a person or a place, or in this case, a separation from the way that we used to do business. We're forced to evolve very quickly. And that can create a lot of uncertainty and fear in people. And the way that we have a tendency to respond to uncertainty and fear as humans is we have a tendency to bury our heads a little bit. We have a tendency to let that take over and almost gives us permission not to do what we know we need to do because everybody else is experiencing it or everybody else is dealing with the same thing. And it's really important during times like that, especially during times where we have a heightened level of fear and anxiety, that we lean into our best people. We lean into engagement more, not go home and sit on the couch and do the woe is me thing. So our
what does that look like? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What does consistent engagement look like?
Yeah, so one, it's really, really dependent on the right community. I'm a big culture and community person. I don't think that anybody succeeds alone. I think the people that say, hey, you know, I'm self-made, I think that really they're throwing some really important people under the bus. The people who have supported them, the people that have loved them, the people, you know, support and love gives people courage.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that courage to go take action and risk failure and risk rejection. And although you may have done all the work yourself, you forgot that you have a platform of people that have supported you, that have given you that courage, given you the courage to go out and face these, you know, these trials and tribulations that we face as business owners every day. So one of the things, the key principles that we took right away when everything kind of changed on everything is, okay, we need to keep everybody really engaged and not empty engagement. Like, we need to control the narrative. We need to set a positive, productive narrative for the next month or however long it's going to take us to get through this, and make sure that we empower people that you can take action. You are in control of the results still, and that change is the constant state of business. And if this is the first time you're experiencing real dramatic change, you know, if you've been in the business for 20 years, you experienced 9/11, you experienced the crash in 08, you've experienced some of these things, but many people haven't. They weren't entrepreneurs through that time. Mm-hmm. So they don't know how to respond to big shifts. We talk about little shifts, little market shifts all the time, but we rarely ever address big market shifts, big challenging shifts that change consumer activity and engagement. So one of the things we wanted to do is like, okay, we need to reinvent the engagement of our business and tailor it to what we're experiencing today, and give our agents and everybody else an opportunity to plug into that on a daily basis, whether that's our Monday group coaching, our onboarding coaching. We have morning huddles every single day of the week. Everything is very specific to helping our agents and the people who engage with us to address the reality of today and prepare for the reality of tomorrow. And the only way that we do that is we got to lean in every single day. We have to make that choice as entrepreneurs, because we don't have bosses looking over our shoulders saying, you got to be here at 9, you got to do this, you got to do this, and you can leave at 5. We're responsible for our results. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we gave everybody a community to plug into and say, hey, I'm going to show up for myself today. I'm going to stay engaged. I have a place to be on Zoom today or online. And you've done that like brilliantly with the Daily Dose here since this whole thing started. You sprung to action really quickly as well. And when you give people an opportunity to engage, they'll lean in.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are listening out there, if you're not surrounded by people who do this naturally, who take action, you're in the wrong environment. These environments exist, whether they're here or with our team, and a number of other CRTs do you know, fantastic thing. You've got how many examples from the last 2 months of you doing this? Yeah. Like, it's there. It's our responsibility to dive in and plug into it.
Well, and Brandon, I mean, 3/4 of a page of notes, and we've been in 5 minutes. So the first thing that I want to say is I've had a lot of people reach out to me by Facebook message from CR 101. So I did Thursday. I announced that it was the Thursday before we did. In fact, it was the Wednesday was stay-at-home orders. Thursday, I did CR 101, which was basically the crisis response 101. And at the end of it, I got emotional, right? Like, I was built for this. I was born for this. Like, this is why I was born. And I got emotional a little bit, and people like, they was like, man, that really resonated. And I think that the thing that I really understood, that I hope everybody understands, is that in a time of crisis, people will either, well, in the lack of leadership, they will listen to the loudest voice. That's like, so I knew that there are going to be people who take advantage of this by being the loudest voice and selling a bunch of people like placebo pills. I mean, literally, And it's like, we don't know, but we know you're scared. So we're going to sell to you because you're scared. And like, we're going to be loud and we're going to be out there and that kind of thing. And I was just like, no, this is when the positive leaders like need to be the voice of reason and to be like, not necessarily the loudest voice, but the most helpful voice, the most generous voice. And, you know, that goes back to you is you're like, man, you know what? If we don't talk to our agents, then they're going to be listening to the loudest voices who sell their snake oil, and we're going to lose them for a little bit, and they're going to lose money, and they're going to be, you know, less trusting of coaching, leadership, and everything else. And guess what's happened in the world, you know? So you took leadership very quickly, and you had a format for that with your morning huddles. And so you communicated through the morning huddle. What else? So first of all, it's like, you know, we have people who, all of the above. We have agents. We have people who lead a team and they're the only agent. We have people who lead a team of agents, and we have Joe LaRosa and Gary Keller, and we have Stacy Alcorn, who lead hundreds and thousands of agents, right? So you're saying right off the bat that this morning huddle is something that everyone can implement and should implement. Is that what you would recommend? Like, is that the pill you would recommend for these leaders of real estate teams, or in general? Honestly, if you were a CEO of Amazon, you should be doing a morning huddle with you know, your clients, which are your CEO, COO, CFO, whatever it may be. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that that's certainly part of it. You know, one of the most important things in building a business and creating community and culture is engagement. And of course, you want to encourage your agents to engage in your messaging as a business, but you want to create engagement with your team, with your family. And you got to give people an opportunity to plug in. And you said it literally the best anyone could say it. It's very, very simple. If you don't give them the right narrative, if you don't give them the right message, the right community and culture to plug into, they will plug into the most convenient place that's not yours. They'll take the path of least resistance, and you don't know what that's going to be, or where that's going to be, and what that message is going to be. And those outside messages, and you nailed it, you call it the snake oil salesman, they start doing that. And then those people will start to bring that language back to your business. And that can be toxic. That can be a very toxic narrative, and that can spread throughout your business. So you know, if you're going to run a large organization, if you're going to lead people, then you have to lead the narrative, and you have to give them the message. And I think that's what we've done. And we sprung out of this thing and just kind of came up with the idea of engagement, awareness. You know, we really wanted people to be supportive throughout this time and educated. And it was funny because we were talking about these things in our business, and I said engaged, aware, supportive, and educated. And one of my agents said, ease. Let's just handle this with ease. So I'm sure Joshua Baker's on here today, so shout out to him for giving me the acronym, and I, you know, giving the light bulb there. But the
acronyms are like the word of the day. I mean, it's like you want to be Michael Maher's friend, like just come up with an acronym. You know what I mean? And it's right. One of those where, but I have to say that there's brilliance in the acronym, because like we had Don McNaughton on last Friday, and he had alter. But the thing that's beautiful about it is it's not ALTER, it's ALTAR. And it's like, I mean, that little twist in itself is great. But the other thing is, you know, assess, you know, look at the options, take action, assess again, and then review and repeat the same, you know, the same alter. And it was just like, I mean, that was brilliant. And it was just like, and it goes back to like, you know, Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs, it's like assess and adapt, right? Assess and adapt. Well, his is like Navy SEALs on steroids. It's you know, it's very easy. I mean, like right now it's Tuesday, and that was last Friday, and yet I still remember his message. And his message is not just alter, but it's also give it to God, right? I mean, it's like it's just like, so you're bringing in ease. Like, how do we handle this with ease? And it's engagement, it's awareness. And I have to tell you, that's the thing that I see as the most lacking overall with especially young people today is just what's funny is the world's smaller than it's ever been. And yet our young people see smaller than they ever have, I believe. And I just a lack of awareness, and then support, and then education, and that's ease, right? So
yeah, the concept that we're really working with here is building trust equity with those 4 components. And let me kind of explain what I mean by trust equity a little bit, because we talked about this in our business, and we really thought, like, during shifting times like this, when the markets can kind of seize up on us and buyers and sellers can get a little nervous and they stop taking action, what that does to real estate agents is it limits our ability to create the immediate results that we're used to getting. And that can cause us to be a little fearful, right? And respond in kind of a negative way. It can make us kind of get into the scarcity mode a little bit, because we can't make those same phone calls or do those open house and create those consistent immediate results that we're used to doing. And we have to shift our mindset away from this happened in March, and we have to shift it away from saying I'm running a March and April business. We have to change our mindset to saying I'm still running a 2020 business. And I have to be disciplined enough to show up and do the work every day, knowing that I might not create the immediate result, but also knowing that I'm building trust equity, and that equity in that trust will pay off at some point. Maybe that's 2 months, maybe it's 3 months, whatever it is, but you've got to build that trust equity in people. And trust, the definition of trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, and strength of an agent. And equity is the market value of an agent's trustworthiness. And you said this to me almost a decade ago, Michael. You said, people don't say yes to you unless they trust you. And I think that we don't take that seriously enough in our business when we're building relationships. When you build a relationship, it's the same as building trust between 2 people, whether that's personal or professional trust. Trust is a key component to the relationship building process. So we really have to take that into account, especially now when we can't create immediate results, knowing that I'm going to give myself over to building trust equity right now. I'm going to keep doing the work because I'm disciplined. I don't need immediate results to justify my efforts today. I'm building towards something in the future. And that whole concept for us was, we're building a 2020 business. March and April are 2 months in a total year of business that we're going to do. And we have to continue to do the work through these months so that we can reap the benefits of that equity when things turn in our favor. And that concept is a shifting concept no matter what, whatever the large shift is. We have to lean in and continue to do our work, because, you've seen this in lots of different examples. A lot of millionaires are made during downturns, during the hardest times, because people lean into it and they say, okay, what do I need to do differently, right? How is that, how are things going to change in my industry, and how can I be a part of that? And it's important. It's really important. And what is it Dave Ramsey says? I think he says maturity is our ability to delay gratification.
That's right.
And that's what we have to do. We have to have professional maturity during these kind of times.
Yeah, that's powerful. And it's I heard somebody say the other day, and I it's like we're in a trust economy, but the truth is that, we're always in a trust economy. It's literally, and the other part of what you said that's so powerful is that, building trust equity isn't just a quarantine time thing. Building trust equity is what you do every day. Because it's an activity, right? We have activities and results. We don't have control over the results. All we have control over is our activities. So our activities need to build trust, build trust, build trust. Will you be there for me tomorrow? Support. Well, will you be there? And do you know how to communicate it? Engagement. So it's one of those where it's like, like the activity that we do is build trust through conversation, through our programs, through being there in some cases, through being an expert, through our high character, doing the right thing. And it's one of those where I have to tell you, you nailed it with your spin on trust equity. I love that because that's, in my opinion, that's generosity, right? In my world, I would call that like generosity. What is generosity? Love in action. What is trust equity? It's love in action, right? It's love in action. It's not love. It's love in action. You know, it's taking action. You said the word action. I have 23 times so far in this conversation. And I mean, we took action. I took action. You got to take action. What did you do? I took action. I did a morning huddle. Well, you've got to lean in. You've got to take action. You know, we've got separation anxiety. What we sometimes do is we go into fear. We go into fetal position. We bury our head. And what we've got to do is take action, right? Take action. And I think that's the biggest thing is sometimes people don't know what action to take. And that's kind of where I was going with, you know, would you recommend the morning huddle if I wanted to take action in the engagement space, right?
Yeah.
So that I think, and I want to dissect awareness, support, and education as well. And I don't want to leave engagement without people like having that one thing that they could do today or tomorrow to increase engagement with their team, with their company. Or what I love about what you're talking about is you're staying engagement, teaching your agents how to stay in engagement with the consumers, like the Facebook group thing, right? So I love that. So what, you know, if you had to give advice to, you know, a leader of a company or a leader of a real estate team or a leader period, what is the secret to engagement? What's the action in engagement?
Yeah, well, here's another word you'll hear me say about as many times as action, and that's consistency. You know, as a leader, you have to, you can't just have the message. You have to have the message. You have to deliver the message. You have to articulate it well and make it so that it inspires people and they understand it. And then you really have to do it consistently. You don't get to say something once and people go, oh, we're good, right? Anything that we do requires an immense amount of consistency until that message takes hold. And the great thing about it when it takes hold is then you've just 10x the ability of your message, right? You get 10 people to really buy into the message over a certain amount of time. And then those 10 people start speaking that same language and that message of positivity and productivity. And then all of a sudden what you've done is you've infected an entire industry with that message. And that's what you want to do as a leader. And one thing that I would tell people is this doesn't have to be a big thing. What you want to do is you want to create momentum for your people. And action and engagement is about just getting them off the start line, right? It's about shoveling all that coal into the steam engine, the hard work of getting it going, getting them going. And then once that thing's turning, they feel inspired, and you created momentum for your people. And that's a powerful thing that you can give people is inspiration and momentum. And when you commit to a morning huddle, and to be honest with you, we have 5 morning huddles every day of the week. Every single one of them is different. Every one of them is tailored for, you know, a different experience. Our Monday morning group coaching and masterminds are all tailored around, you know, the reality of today. So we're very involved with, you know, giving our agents that message to plug into and creating momentum for them. And that's all it is. I think a lot of leaders feel overwhelmed with having to create that because they think it's got to be this big thing. It doesn't. It just has to be a really good thing done consistently and just give people momentum and let them go, because talent takes momentum and runs with it. And those are the people you're coaching to.
That's another drop the mic moment from the Daily Dose and Brandon Tracy right there. That's, you know, it's like these 3 words like just popped in my head as you're talking that were so brilliant. It's just like, make the commitment, be consistent, and you will get momentum. And momentum's where it's at. It reminds me, I've got a gal who I coach, and she was struggling with the Facebook thing. She didn't start it until early April. And I just said, don't worry about it. Like, here's the thing, right? You made the commitment to do a Facebook group. Good job. High five. And that's probably the same with a lot of Daily Dose listeners and watchers today. But it's like, all right, what's the activity we can do that will be consistent? And it's like, all right, she's like, well, I could post in there. Okay. So here's the thing. I want you to post at 9, 12, 3, and 6. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to do anything else to try to raise engagement. You're not going to do anything else. It's just 9, 12, 3, and 6. Every day, you have a little reminder on your phone, pops up, and it's like, I was like, talked to her a week later. It's like, how many? She's like, I got 15 people in there. It's like, okay. But here's the thing. Is it worth doing? Is it good? I love that you said, take something good and do it consistently. And it's like, is it good? Is this going to be good? Is it good? Are you doing a good? Yes, I'm doing a good thing. Okay. Fast forward to whatever today is, right? 3,410 members. Guess what she's done? She posts at 9, 12, 3, and 6. And that's it, right? What can we boil it down to? A good thing done repeatedly, which leads, it overcomes inertia. You're not going to overcome inertia in 1 minute. You're going to overcome inertia, and then you're going to get momentum. And then you hit it on the head. Now she's got people who want to be moderators. What do talented people do? They see the opportunity and momentum. And now, who knows where that's going to end up.
Are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
Let's talk about awareness, So how are you teaching awareness? What have you seen when it comes to, like, you're doing this ease, right? Engagement, we can see that, right? Awareness, what are we doing with the awareness?
Yeah, awareness is a lot about self-leadership. It's kind of breaking through some of those things where you look inside yourself and see how am I reacting? How am I responding to my environment, to what the consumers are saying, to what clients are doing, to the broken transaction? And am I empathizing with how people are feeling? Is this transaction about me? Is this about me, or is this about serving my community, serving my clients? And we have to be very aware. And that's difficult for agents. And I get that, because a lot of us, a lot of people are still working closing to closing, paycheck to paycheck. We're building our careers. And that section up front, when you're building your career and the momentum of your career, is super, super challenging. And we can get outside of ourselves and our fiduciary sometimes, because we have mortgages to pay, and we have kids to take care of, and we have bills, and we have kids that need to eat and go to school and all of that. And that can really stir up a lot of emotion for us. But it's very important as a professional, especially a fiduciary, to remain emotionally neutral during these times. We're the calming voice, whether it's during COVID-19 or a tough transaction, or a tough cross agent that's just a jerk, and they're talking to you in a bad way, and it's really just stirring up anger in you. The most powerful thing that we can do for people is remain neutral. Empathize, I understand how you're feeling, and then spring into the solution mindset. How can I make this better for this individual? How can I dilute some of this emotion and this anger? And the way that we do that is we've got to serve and connect and engage. We just don't sell all the time. We have to listen. We have to empathize with people. We have to seek first to understand how they are seeing the situation through the lens of their life and their experiences. And when we just take a moment to be self-aware like that, bring the emotion down a little bit, take a deep breath and say, I do not have to participate in this heightened level of emotion to find a very great win-win solution for the cross agent, for my client, for whatever problem that we have. And a lot of agents haven't been coached to just take that deep breath. You heard Adam Hergenrother say this, 3, 2, 1, breathe, right? And that concept is a powerful, powerful concept for people, because it makes us less reactionary to our environment and a little bit more proactive in controlling the situation and leading to solutions.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's awesome. It conjures up the image of the lighthouse for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't be the storm amidst the calm. I had an agent like that early in my career. Buyer's agent joined me, like the transactions going swimmingly, and he started bringing things up. You know, it's like, and like, because he wanted to show his value. He wanted to, like, you know, but it's like, don't be the storm amidst the calm, for sure. Don't do that. Don't cause a storm when there's no storm.
You're here to be effective, not famous, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, agents need to hear that sometimes. We're here to be effective, not famous.
That's right. We handle the process. They handle the decisions. And it's like that lighthouse. And it's like, you know, imagine being in a storm and, you know, what do you focus on when you're in the storm, right? You see the lightning over here, you see the rain over here, you see the ugly clouds over here, and you're like all over the place. And then you see your lighthouse, right? And you see the light. What is it? It's calming. And then you just focus on the lighthouse, and it's like, it's logical. It makes you feel good. It's a guiding light. It gives you a sense of security. And that's what your agent needs to be. I say, you know, lighthouse of excellence and a sea of mediocrity, but it's one of those where right now we need to be a lighthouse of calm in the storm, you know, in the midst of a storm, and give people something to focus on, give them something for guidance and that kind of thing. And it leads to, what's funny is the more you become self-aware, the more people will become aware of you. You know, It goes down that path of, you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, will lead to, you know, your next level of business. And it's one of those where it is, there's so much under awareness. You know, these kids today, I keep going back to kids because I have an 11-year-old, you're a father as well, but it's like, these kids this is their world.
Yeah.
Like this, literally, I'm like, Max, did you see, I mean, oh my God, look at that Ferrari, right? You know, we're driving by a piece of art rolling down the road. He didn't see it. Why? He was right here. We went, and it's like this awesome cloud cover was coming in. We had a storm rolling in the other day. It was just like, oh my God, that is beautiful. Look at that. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, and it's like, there's, they really have no idea what's going on around them. And this is even the millennial today that I see is that their world is really like this really little bubble. And I'm telling you, there is a skill, there is a superpower of being aware of things that are going around you. Like, it's just like, because you know what? If your bubble is this big, all the opportunities are right here. They're just outside your bubble of awareness. The more awareness you have, the more you will see these opportunities, right? Somebody says, you know, yeah, you know what? I refer Mindy. Okay, who's Mindy? Well, Mindy is the agent in our neighborhood, and you know, she handles most of the, oh, okay. So you would refer Mindy in your neighborhood, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about outside your neighborhood. Like, who is an expert in the real estate world that you know outside of your neighborhood? Well, I don't know. Okay. What would it take for me to be that person? What would it take for me to be that professional that you count on, that you refer to outside? Mindy gets your neighborhood. I'm good with that. You know what? I understand neighborhood dynamics and politics. I love that Mindy works that neighborhood for you. But what I want to do is I work the entire city. So listen, don't you want somebody to count on in the entire city? Yes. Okay. So let's talk about what that would look like. So here's the thing though, but that's awareness versus what most agents would do is, yeah, I'd refer Mindy. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah.
No.
There's depth. Awareness is about depth, right? It's about a depth of understanding of yourself and others. And, you know, I go deeper on this with our team, and I think I'm actually doing this for our team in 2 weeks, is I teach a thing called 7 key interpersonal skills. We talk a lot about why can 10 agents do the exact same thing and get such dramatically different results? Well, there's effort and intention, certainly to play a role in that. But there's also the self-awareness, the key interpersonal skills. Have you developed them Do you know what they are, right? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, how do I stack up with these key interpersonal skills? And really understanding that you have more skills to develop than just calling on the phone or throwing an event or doing a transaction. You have interpersonal professional skills to develop. And usually that's the difference between really, really successful people and people who are just really struggling. They haven't yet reached that self-awareness phase where they look in the mirror and go, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Let me list out these weaknesses and let me take action on improving these. And then let me take a look at my strengths and let me take action on leaning into these. And then how can I improve the totality of me as a person and a professional? And I've always said this pretty openly about our business. I truly believe in my heart that BTG has grown in direct proportion to how much I have grown as a person and a professional. And I think that that's pretty safe to say about most people's businesses. The commitment to yourself, learning about yourself, learning how to be a self-leader first before you're leading others. Those are powerful components to success as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. One of the things that really triggered is I was told by a very successful coach. I have 3 coaches, and one of them hit me over the head with something, and it rings in my head. And that is, so know your strengths. Know your strengths. And StrengthsFinder has changed the entire way of the world for a lot of us, in the fact that we always were told to work on our weaknesses and to you come home, you've got 5 A's and a B. What does mom and dad talk about? What are you going to do with the B to raise it to an A, right? So how about we look at the A plus and say, what can we do to support you in science? You're kicking butt. Do you want to do a camp? Do you want to do, what in science really inspired you? We can learn more about studying the healthy than we can by studying the sick. And that whole concept is recent. That is not an old concept. The way we always did it before was study the sick to figure out how they got sick. But we need to study the healthy to figure out how to stay healthy. And it's like the thing my coach said was, here's a strength. The knowledge of your weaknesses is a strength. Knowing your weaknesses is a strength. And it goes, scout yourself. Like scout or have somebody scout you, scout your company. Have somebody outside go, all right, you're an agent. What are our weaknesses? And I will tell you right now, referco.com, we're going through a big it is one of the things that I got from that conversation is, you know what? We need to shore some things up when people go to referco.com. And it's like, but I probably wouldn't even know. How often do I go to referco.com? I know what's there. I don't have to go there, but it's one of those where that is such you said it, right? Is that it's just not emphasizing your strengths and asking about your strengths and focusing on your strengths, but the knowledge of your weaknesses is a strength. Know what you're weak at. And you may have to develop something there, and then knowledge of your strengths, of course. And you were talking that's awesome. Is awareness, right? It goes back to awareness. Let's talk support, right? Let's talk support. So, does this go with empathy?
Not necessarily. I think for support in terms of what we're talking about here today is really about, one, find support if you need it. I think too many agents are really afraid to plug into coachings, teams, brokerages. They're afraid to plug into support sometimes because support often comes with accountability, and we're afraid of that accountability, right? We like the freedom of doing whatever we want. The problem is we have habits and rituals in our lives that we go through every day, and if we want different results, it's very, very likely that we're going to have to change our habits and rituals to match the results that we want to get. And oftentimes we're going to need to look for a support platform that also supports us getting those new results and encourages us and even teaches us the new habits and rituals that we're going to have to learn to go create that for ourselves. And then it's our responsibility to take that support and literally mirror it onto our community. And you talk about this all the time over the last 60 or so days about the Facebook groups, creating your community, bringing support to your community, being a positive influence for your community is important. And you can, listen, you can do that afraid. I want people to know this right now. You don't have to be absent of fear to go take action on this. I can't remember who said this line, but I love this line. Nothing gives a fearful person more courage than another person's fear. Right. And if you're a parent, you really know that.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
You really know that.
Yeah.
But it's very important from a support structure to understand you are stronger as part of a group. We are stronger together. We're stronger as a Gen community. We're stronger as a BTG family because we can support each other. We can pick each other up when we're not there that day or that week. And that level of support in your life, whether it's personal or professional, right? With your family or your work family, support, giving it, being in it is an extremely, extremely effective tool for building your life and your business. And I don't think that we often acknowledge enough about who am I surrounding myself with? Who am I listening to? Who do I allow to influence my mind and my actions? And that's a thing that we can control. We can make those choices. As entrepreneurs, we make the choice, who will I let influence me? Who will I let be part of my support system? Are they qualified? Are they worthy? Do they represent the professional values that I want to represent? It's important to take this support thing seriously.
So lots of brilliance and support. You've really got a presentation in every letter. You know what I mean?
I do. I actually do.
Yeah. I mean, it's be of support, look for support, get support, build your community, be a part of a community. That's what I love about living in today's age, is that I think sometimes that can be tougher local. It's this structure of the national and the global allows us to share and meet people who vibrate at the same frequency or just above, and kind of, go down that path. I think that's the power of a Facebook group, is that, you're going to meet people that are, like the Generosity Generation group. This is not an open group. People think this is an open group. This is not an open group. This is a closed group. So it's one of those where, like, the people in this group are awesome. I would ask everybody to meet someone else. Like, who really needs to meet someone else? The people who are watching this episode right now live in the group. You should comment your name or your profession and location, like where are you at, right? And you know what? I want you guys to connect right now. I want you to connect in the comments right now. Just welcome each other, say hi, like get into a conversation that's a side conversation along with what Brandon and I are doing today. Because you know what you're going to find about the Generosity Generation? These people are freaking awesome. Like, they're awesome. Like Referral Mastery Summit. I'd never had all of the people who implement the Generosity Generation and the 7L system in the same room before. And like, it was, I don't know, Brandon, how would you describe it? It was like Referral Mastery Summit was amazing. It was.
Well, I'm a big energy guy. And you created a platform, a narrative, so to speak, around the 7L strategies. And that became a language that we all spoke. So when we came to Atlanta for the Referral Mastery Summit, we got there and many of us didn't know each other. A lot of us did, but we spoke the same language. We spoke the same language. We cared about the same things. And that's instant connection, instant energy. And when you start a conference from that, we're starting from here, not here. Right. And that was brilliant. We had a ton of fun, and the relationships that we gained from that are, I've talked to Toral and Johnny a number of times over the last month. I've talked to, I don't know how many of the CRTs over the last couple of months. It's a powerful, powerful community. I'll add this to what you said about your local community versus your national community. Yeah. Oftentimes in your local community, there's an element of competition. Everybody knows each other, you're competing with one another, and that can kind of make it a little difficult for the lines of communication to just be open and honest and authentic, where everybody's trying to help each other. There's an element of competition that breeds this, little bit of butting of heads. But when you get outside of local market. And that's not always the case. We have amazing people in our local market that we do a lot with. But when you get out, you really can find your tribe, find connections, and be around people, and it's just different. It's very, very different, and I'd encourage everybody to lean into that. I mean, one of my most valuable communities is the Gen community. I'm not always super active when it comes to social media, but I'm watching. I'm always watching, I'm reading, I'm listening, and I'm allowing that.
Always watching, Mike. I'm always watching.
That's right.
I love that.
So,
I love it. And so, how has the concept of lead generation evolved over the years for you and for BTG? I mean, that's a curiosity question on my side.
Yeah, I think when we started, we really were leaning into more traditional things like, we're smiling and then dialing and,
Yeah, but you weren't smiling. You were just dialing.
No, you never are. You say you're smiling and dialing, but you're really grinding your teeth is what you're doing. But, over time, we through our own action and the evidence, I like to focus on evidence, not emotion. I want to see the evidence of my actions and my activities every day, because a lot of times our emotions about things that we're doing and the value of those things are not supported by evidence. But we're great salesmen, and the one thing a salesperson does the best is sell themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So, we started to really look at the concept of our database and our sphere of influence, our ambassadors and our champions, and our engagement with those folks and what that generates in our business. And I love it. You mentioned it. Yeah, we have like 50 closings in May. Every single one of those for our team was put under contract after quarantine started. And when I look at that list, the thing that gets me most excited, because we track everything, including sourcing, I see an 85% sphere or referral tick on my data tracker. And that makes me, that's the evidence. That's the evidence that shows relationships and communicating with the right people. Sandy says it all the time, give your best to your best. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. And the most empowering thing about that, in my opinion, is we've kind of created a lie in real estate that we have to communicate with thousands of people to have a successful business. We do not have to do that. Many people can communicate with their top 50 people. And if you think about it, if 50 people transact once every 3 to 7 years, and you lean into those people, you have 50 transactions, and then you have 1, 2, maybe 3. I mean, you've had some of the referral people on here. You talk about the referrals they get from one event or from one happy client. You have the 50 base, and then you have all of their spheres of influence on top of that. You just lean into those people. And it's so much more rewarding because you're building relationships and you're building trust, and you're not just smiling and dialing and getting hung up on and getting rejection, because that comes with a lot of feelings of burnout. And you can only do that for a certain amount of time before your emotional battery just is drained and you just don't care to do it anymore. And that's detrimental, because we already talked about the importance of consistency in anything that we do. If you can't handle rejection with consistency, then you can't handle that lead generation source. Mm-hmm. I'm a big component, sphere of influence, referrals, build relationships, build professional trust, earn the right from the people that matter most to you in your life. Mm-hmm. They'll take care of building your business for you.
Yeah. Build your army of ambassadors, right? Mm-hmm. And isn't it funny that it's like you've got to callous your heart to do it those other ways? And callous is a double on, callous means callous approach, which is a brittle, kind of anguished approach. Callous means inappropriate almost. And you got to callous your heart to do those callous approaches. And, you and I are heart surgeons, right? We cure callous hearts. We take the callus off so that you can just be your authentic self and be who you are, and let your heart, wear it on your shoulder, wear it on your sleeve, put your heart in your business, put the love in your business. And I love that. I mean, there's so many, I have like 10 questions to ask you, man. I mean, we only have like 5 minutes.
Well, let's talk education first.
Yeah. So I wanted to go back to, what are the most reliable resources you suggest to stay educated on current matters? And, what does it mean to kind of stay educated?
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to education, we've made the mistake in our industry of providing too much of it. And what we want to do is we want to focus on the bulk of the education that has the biggest impact on us going forward, right? And listen, a lot of times we've been put in these situations, whether you're a team or a brokerage, and you're constantly trying to get someone to come in and teach. Oh, just fill the spot, right? And you end up teaching so many different things. And what you have to understand is there's key principles in real estate that drive the majority of our results. And those are the things you want to spend the most time on. And one of the mistakes that we make in our industry way too often is we learn something once and we say, got it. And then we move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Learning something once, hearing something once does not build your business. It does not move your business forward. Mastery is what we're seeking. A mastery level understanding of a business concept, a mastery level understanding of a skill or a strategy. That's not something that you do by listening to something once. That's where we start to get into learning, studying, executing, evaluating performance, evaluating failures, pivoting, and trying again. And that's the entrepreneurial spirit that we're talking about right there. So, education is about zeroing in on your, those things that you do well, that you want to be core components or pillars of your business. Move those things forward. Don't be a master of none, right? That's a dangerous path to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be a jack of all trades either, right? I mean, it's like be a master of one, or two. And so what are some resources? Like, what are some reliable resources that you use to stay educated?
Well, let's talk in terms of our COVID-19 response, because that's what we're really going on. And we'll talk in terms of a shift like we're in. Knowing your market data is important. We're in our market data on a regular basis with somebody who's a professional in analyzing that data, because we don't want to, it's not our job to analyze it ourselves. We want to listen to a professional analyze it. And then we want to do that consistently until it becomes part of our language. So that's important. It's important to understand what new techniques are emerging. And that's the part of you that's got to go fishing a little bit, right? Plug into the Daily Dose every day, plug into some other things and listen. What new techniques are emerging? That doesn't mean you have to do all of them. That's a dangerous road. But which one matches your business philosophy, right? What new techniques? And then mortgage and lending changes daily and weekly right now. Now, it's important for us to be able to speak about those things and be able to articulate our understanding of those changes, so that it encourages that client to lean into us a little bit more, so we can make the handoff to a preferred professional. The only way that we're going to really create a mastery level understanding of that is being part of that conversation every week. So we have a mortgage and lending update with our preferred lender every single Tuesday. I missed it because I was on here today, but they're just talking and listen, you can't get bored with what works. People do that all too often. We get bored with what works and we start working on what doesn't work. And oftentimes throughout the course of a week or a month, if you're part of that conversation every week, then by week 3 or week 4, there's not so many changes anymore, and you get a little bored with it and you stop engaging with the message. But you have to understand the power of what you're just being part of the conversation. And the incremental changes that happen with you and your knowledge, your understanding of what they're teaching you. And then furthermore, how you articulate it starts to get better because your understanding is better. And the only way that you do that is circling all the way back to engagement. Stay engaged even when you're bored, because you can't come off of things that are working for you just because you're bored and start searching for something else just because you want to be excited about it. You don't even know if that works. You got to stay true to what got you there in the first place. And then lastly, I'll say, how are mentors and leaders in your life thinking? And you and I have talked about this before. Not what are they saying, but what are they thinking? And that's the key component of a lot of the people that I've watched in my life. I'm not too keen on exactly what they're saying, right? I get this a lot. Could you say that again? Could you give me that script? And I'm saying you're focused on the wrong thing. You don't focus on my words, focus on the thought process behind it. I do this at conferences all the time. I'll go to a conference, I'll follow 1 or 2 people around the whole time. Because what I'm really, really looking for is how does this person think across a multitude of topics? Because that has power.
Okay, that's another drop the mic moment right there. I mean, it's like, remember, like as a parent, you go, well, don't do what I do what I say. And it's one of those where it's like, all right, so let's think as a business owner and as a growth oriented individual. It's don't do what they do, think like they think. That's the key, right? What is the strategic thinking? What is the root of what they're thinking? Don't just look at what they're doing, look at what they're thinking. And I don't think a lot of people do that when they go and take a ton of notes and they're thinking about a lot of things. And then they're thinking about, can I do it? And many people talk themselves out of doing something before they even do it, because they can. And then there are those that write it down and then they do it just like the person said to do it. And it either works or doesn't, right? Small percentage of the time it works. But the key, you really hit on it, is that with these mentors, with these great thinkers, it's just like, look at what they're thinking. Don't necessarily just look at what they're doing. I do also look at what they do. So does Brandon. But it's like, don't do what I do. Think like I think. Think like I think. Think like Gary V thinks. Think like, these great leaders think. Think like Brandon thinks. Like, what does that look like? What does that start from? Like for me, everybody knows where it starts. It starts with love, generosity, and appreciation. I mean, it's like anything I do, it's going to come from love. It's going to come from generosity, or it's going to come from appreciation. I mean, period. So, it's like going to the root of that. Brandon, I have to ask, I mean, this is not on the, we've covered quite a few of the rehearsed questions, and I have to tell you, if I were going to do a pleasantly surprised, I would say that I am pleasantly surprised at how well I stuck to the script today. And thank you, Brandon, for giving me such a great script to follow, but it's like, what made you decide to be a CRT? Like, why are you a certified referral trainer? What made you do that? Like, what made you, and I'm genuinely curious, because here's the truth from my heart is I want more people like you, right? In my life. You are awesome. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, what made you decide to become a certified referral trainer? And, how has it benefited you? Don't make it an advertisement. I don't want that at all. But I'm genuinely curious. Why did Brandon Tracy sign up for CRT?
Yeah, and I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit, but I read a book once called Speak Like Churchill, Stand Like Lincoln, I think is what it called. And it talked about the importance of a leader or a CEO to be able to breathe life into their business, to speak life into their business. And that resonated with me to a point where I started to search out, like, well, where do I start with this? I was a terrible public speaker. I couldn't get through a sentence without, my mouth drying up or I forgot to breathe. So I'd have to stop mid-sentence and breathe. And I just got to the point where, like, if I'm going to really do what I set out to do, which was inspire positive change in our industry, I'm going to have to get better at this because it's important to me. And the more I leaned into it, I leaned into you, I leaned into Donald Miller and StoryBrand and a couple of things. And I found that I didn't have to be the hero. And you told me this in 2017 when we were going through CRT. It's like, Brandon, it's not what you teach, it's what they learn. And I had this paradigm shift happening in 16 and 17, and it gave me power. And what it was essentially, Brandon, don't worry. You don't have to be the star. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to do any of that. Because quite frankly, that stuff, it doesn't resonate with me well. I'm more of a private person. If I'm going to volunteer to, I'm certainly not going to seek out the spotlight. But I knew that I wanted to be more effective in my messaging. And you empowered me to understand that all I have to do is be a guide. Everybody, the people I'm talking to, they're the heroes of the story. I'm just a guide. I'll just show them the way. I'm Gandalf, right? Not Frodo in this case. And, then I grew my beard out really long and got a wizard. No, I didn't do that. But that's what it was about for me. I wanted to be a better guide, a real one that really created a positive impact on people's lives. And that was what led me to CRT in the first place.
Yeah. Don't be a sage on stage, be a guide on the side. Right. And the sage on the stage wants to be the hero and all that. And if you'll notice, that's the whole root of the success stories. Is the success story is not about me. You know, when you write a success story, you're writing about your client's success. Well, when your clients have success, who do they look to, right? They look to you as the guide on the side who helped them, who helped them be a success. And it's amazing how often the spotlight will go on the guide as well as the client or the success. And, you know,
I don't think you can be an effective guide without really understanding empathy and leaning into it. Right. And that brings us full circle.
Yeah. Wow. Building trust equity with ease today with, you say you're Gandalf, you've cast a spell over us today. That's for sure.
Good. I'm glad.
many mic dropping moments left and right today. This is one that I'm sure that people are going to need to listen to over and over again. And Brandon, I just wanted to, I'd say for me, but the entire generosity generation, thank you so much for being our guest today on the Daily Dose.
Well, it's my pleasure, Michael. It really is. I love you. I respect you. I respect and love this community very much. It's been a great community to be a part of. Looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. If you're not walking out of here more positive and knowing how to be more productive, that's on you, baby. That's on you. That's not on us. We delivered the goods today. Brandon Tracy delivered the goods today. So tomorrow, listen, it's like, you're like, how can this get any better? Right? Building on the foundation of yesterday and today, we're going with Toril and Johnny. He said he called Toril and Johnny several times the last couple of weeks. Well, you don't have to call them. You know why? Because we're going to have them on tomorrow on the Daily Dose, 1 p.m. Eastern. Tune in tomorrow on the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.